Madge Bellamy was one of the biggest silent movie stars in the 1920s at Fox Studios. But after starring in just a few talkies in the 30s, she drifted into supporting roles before retiring altogether. Rumor had it that her voice ruined her career, but that was not necessarily the truth. What was the truth? Let's find out together. Please like and subscribe/follow me if you want to learn more about the history of silent film actors that successfully, albeit briefly, made the transition to starring in talking films. Back to Madge Bellamy. She was born in 1899 in Texas. From an early age, she caught the performing bug and studied dancing and acting. In 1917, she moved to New York and quickly found work as a featured specialty dancer in the Love Mill on Broadway, before being noticed and replacing Helen Hayes as the star of the hit play Dear Brutus in 1918, also on Broadway. Further stage work caught the attention of representatives from Int Studios, who gave her a screen test and signed her to a contract in 1920. In 1922, her breakthrough starring role was in Ince's production of the classic novel Lorna Doone, which saw Madge as the heroine that may have been the inspiration for the famous cookie. Be sure to see my clips of Lorna Doone and other Madge films that I discuss in this video. Lorna Doone was a critical and commercial hit and launched Madge into stardom. She continued starring in films at Int Studios, including Soul of the Beast in 1923. In 1924, she signed with Fox Studios and was launched into stardom in such films as The Iron Horse, Lightnin', and Lazybones. As you can see here, she usually portrayed the virtuous, lovely ingenue heroine that the audience loved to root for and see get the man at the end. In 1926, Madge moved into more flapper/modern woman type comedic roles at Fox in such films as Sandy, Ankles Preferred, Colleen, The Telephone Girl, Silk Legs, and Soft Living. Being a top star at Fox, Madge did a sound test for the budding new medium of talking pictures in 1928, which she passed successfully due to her former stage work. She then co-starred with Louise Dresser in the part-talkie hit Mother Knows Best later that year at Fox. While the New York Times gave her a good review, particularly for the comedic bit she did imitating other stars of the day, including one as a Scottish man in a kilt, they gave her a lukewarm review about her speaking voice. However, being that Madge had already starred on Broadway, I can only assume that the creaky early talkie recording equipment was the issue, not her stage-trained voice. Despite the success of this early talkie, Madge made just 2 more films for Fox, one silent, one talkie, before tearing up her contract and storming away from the studio due to dissatisfaction with the roles being offered to her. Years later, in her autobiography, Madge said that she, quote-unquote, got too big for her britches. In an interview with film historian Michael G. Anchorage in 1990, Madge stated, quote, "I have tried to figure out my behavior for many years. I can only say that it was a streak of insanity. I think maybe the fire had gone out of me," end quote. Madge turned down other offers from MGM and Columbia and lived in relative poverty until 1932, when she was offered the lead female role in Bela Lugosi's United Artists horror classic, White Zombie, which was successful. She also starred in the Poverty Row Mayfair Studios film Police Patrol in 1933. After starring in 2 more B movies and appearing in some uncredited roles back at Fox, Madge quit the business altogether in 1936, before returning briefly in 1945 to make one final screen appearance in a large supporting role in the Western Northwest Trail. After a few more attempts to return to the stage, Madge finally called it quits for good for acting in 1946. After living for years in relative obscurity, Madge began to grant interviews to fans and film historians in the 1980s when a renewed interest in silent films blossomed. In 1989, she released her autobiography, A Darling of the Twenties. Madge passed away in 1990 at the age of 90. What was the real reason that Madge Bellamy's silent stardom only briefly lasted in the talkies? Despite the mixed reviews she got for her talkie debut, I think the real culprit was her diva-like behavior at Fox that earned her a difficult reputation among other studios. Behavior that she later owned and apologized for, warning others of behaving the same way. Regardless, Madge has left behind a rich body of exquisite acting in both silent and talking films. Be sure to check out many of her films on YouTube, and be sure to see my previous clips from the past 2 weeks to see Madge in some of these films. Up next, join me as I investigate the silent to talkie career of Monty Blue. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day.